I couldn't walk for days after mating with a human man. The alien woman's reproach. The hum of orbital station K-9 was never silent. Even at shift change, when most of the dock workers stumbled off to the bar or to bed, the place vibrated with engines, plasma converters, and the quiet complaints of overworked machinery. Ellera Vathen sat in a booth that smelled faintly of metal polish and bad whiskey, trying very hard not to punch the wall every time her leg twitched. It wasn't pain, exactly. More like her body was still remembering something it didn't want to. Her reflection in the glass wall opposite looked almost human. Almost. The long ears, fine and pointed like the wings of a blade, betrayed what she really was. Caltharian, soldier-bred, unbreakable. Except apparently. Breakable by one very irritating human. She downed a cup of something that claimed to be tea, but burned like engine coolant. 3 weeks, she muttered. 3 weeks since that ridiculous man and I. She stopped herself. Saying it out loud would make it worse. She'd fought entire wars without losing control of her body. And now, she could barely walk straight for 2 days after that night. The worst part was, he hadn't even looked smug about it. He looked worried, concerned. Then he'd vanished, leaving her with trembling knees and a medical droid who'd refused to stop making puns about human compatibility issues. A server bot rolled up beside her, its mechanical voice bright and falsely cheerful. "Would you like another drink, Commander? You appear tense." Statistically, 90% of tense customers regret not ordering dessert. Ellera sighed. "Do you have a dessert that erases memories?" "Only in premium subscription plans." "Figures." The bot rolled away humming an advertisement jingle for cosmic pudding, and Ellera leaned back, staring at the holographic screens, flickering above the bar. Marcus Hale. Human male. Pilot. Occasional smuggler. Currently wanted for theft of classified plasma cores from the Galactic Exchange. His wanted notice flashed between a missing cat poster and an ad for discounted laser eye surgery. His grin on the poster was pure mischief, even in low resolution. He'd probably stolen the plasma cores with that same grin. She told herself she was hunting him for answers, for dignity, for scientific clarification. Not because she missed that grin or the way his laugh made her want to throw things. Definitely not that. Her communicator pinged. A message from an old comrade on the station security detail. "You looking for that human again? I might have a lead. Docking Bay 47, but hurry. He's got company." Ellera stood, ignoring the faint wobble in her knees. "You're getting better," she told herself. "You only look 90% ridiculous now." As she strode toward Docking Bay 47, the air grew colder, tinged with the tang of fuel and ozone. Cargo droids whirred past, carrying crates marked "Do Not Jostle," which, given her mood, was a dangerous suggestion. She spotted a cluster of engineers near a half-disassembled shuttle. One of them was laughing, loud and unmistakable. Marcus Hale leaned against the ship's hull, grease-stained and infuriatingly at ease, talking to a three-eyed smuggler like they were old drinking buddies. Ellera didn't think. She just moved. Her boots echoed against the deck, her voice sharp as a plasma blade. "Hale." He turned, squinting through the haze. Then he smiled, that same maddeningly lopsided smile. "Ellera." Still walking funny. The smuggler took one look at her expression and quietly excused himself from existence, sprinting toward the nearest exit. Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. "Okay, yeah, maybe not the best opening line." Ellera stopped a few meters away, fists clenched. "Do you have any idea what you did to me?" He blinked. "I was told it was mutual." "Not that," she snapped. "My nervous system. My muscles. My—" She waved at her legs as if they'd betrayed her. "You short-circuited me." Marcus frowned, as if genuinely confused. "I mean, I am electric in bed, but—" "Finish that joke, and I'll test how far a human can fly without oxygen." He raised his hands in surrender, grinning despite the threat. Okay, no jokes. But for the record, I didn't know interspecies cooperation came with side effects. You Caltharians are supposed to be built like tanks." "Tanks don't collapse for 72 hours, she muttered. He coughed, trying not to laugh. "Well, now I feel really flattered." Before she could strangle him, Alarms blared through the hangar. Red lights strobed across the walls. An automated voice shouted, "Unauthorized plasma signature detected. Security lockdown initiated." Marcus glanced at her. "That might be me." "Of course it's you." He grabbed her wrist, pulling her toward the shuttle. "We can discuss biology later. Right now, we need to not get arrested." "Let go." But the bay doors were already sealing shut. Security drones descended from the ceiling, red eyes blinking. Elora growled, tore her wrist free, and vaulted into the ship after him. The engine screamed to life, the hull vibrating as Marcus slammed buttons that probably didn't want to be slammed. "Do you even know how to fly this thing?" she shouted over the roar. "Define no." The ship jolted, then shot forward like a comet escaping a black hole. Elora slammed into the co-pilot's chair, gripping the console as they burst through the half-closed hangar doors. Sparks flared against the shield. Outside, the endless shimmer of the station's orbit opened into a sea of stars. Marcus whooped, "See, easy." A warning light flashed. "Hull integrity compromised." The computer droned. Elora glared at him. "You call that easy?" He shrugged. "We're alive. That's half the battle." "Half? What's the other half?" "Convincing you not to kill me before we land." She tried to stay angry, but the absurdity of it all, the alarms, the spinning stars, his stupid grin, broke through her fury. A laugh escaped her before she could stop it. It sounded strange, rusty, like something she hadn't used in years. Marcus grinned wider. "There it is. I knew you still like me." "I don't." "You laughed." "I was laughing at how easily you'll die when we run out of air." He leaned back in his chair, utterly unbothered. "Then I hope you at least laugh again before that happens." She wanted to hit him. She also wanted to stop smiling. Neither worked. The stars stretched before them, and the station faded into the dark. And though she'd never admit it, for the first time since that night, Elora didn't feel broken anymore. She just felt alive. The stolen shuttle groaned like an old beast fighting gravity, every bolt in its frame protesting against Marcus's idea of piloting. Elora sat in the co-pilot seat, arms crossed, glaring at the stars ahead as if they had personally offended her. The cabin lights flickered with a nervous stutter. Somewhere behind them, a loose cable sparked in rhythm with her patience. "Tell me there's a plan," she said, her voice even but edged like a blade. Marcus leaned back, feet up on the console as though he were in a cafe instead of a barely functional spacecraft. "Of course there's a plan. Step 1, don't die. Step 2, find a place that sells snacks. Step 3. Step 3 is flexible. Depends on how step 1 goes." Elora exhaled through her nose. "You stole experimental plasma cores, crashed through a security gate, kidnapped me." "Rescued," he corrected. "And now your plan is snacks." He grinned. "Stress eating is scientifically proven to help interspecies tension." The ship shuddered. The navigation panel blinked, then spat static. Elora turned her gaze to him. "Did you break the NAV system too?" "Define break," he said, and the look she gave him made him sit up straight. Okay, we're going to need to reboot the core. The good news, we're near a service outpost. The bad news, it's run by scavengers who think taxes are a form of witchcraft." "Perfect. I was just thinking I hadn't been threatened today." They dropped out of hyperspace, near a belt of fractured asteroids. The outpost loomed ahead, a cluster of rusted modules welded together, surrounded by holographic signage that flickered between "Welcome" and "We take organs AS payment." As the ship docked with a reluctant hiss, Elora stood. "You talk. I'll handle anyone who tries to sell us back to the nearest bounty office." Marcus smirked. "You mean teamwork? See, we already have chemistry. If you use that word again, I will eject you without a suit." The airlock opened with a metallic gasp. The station smelled faintly of ozone, oil, and whatever passed for food among scavengers. A towering android at the counter glanced up, from polishing a plasma rifle. Its optical sensors flicked between them. "State your business." Marcus smiled like a salesman who'd never learned fear. "Just a tune-up and maybe some navigational recalibration. And, do you sell coffee?" The android tilted its head. We sell something called coffee. That'll do. Elora stepped closer, eyes narrowing. We also need fuel stabilizers and a full diagnostic on the plasma core housing. Payment. Marcus patted his jacket. I have charm. The android looked unimpressed. Charm not accepted. Credits or kidneys. Elora dropped a small metallic disc onto the counter. Credits. Keep the kidneys. The android's sensors dimmed approvingly. Transaction approved. Repair Bay 3. As they walked, Marcus leaned toward her. You know, I was handling that negotiation perfectly fine. You were about to offer an organ. I have 2 kidneys. It's called generosity. She didn't answer. The repair bay door slid open, revealing a chaos of half-built ships, sparking drones, and a few engineers arguing about the existence of gravity. A spherical droid zipped toward them, lights blinking green. Hello, I'm Kik. I'll be your technician/therapist today. Elora frowned. Therapist. Statistically, every pilot who lands here is emotionally damaged. I offer discounts for trauma bonding. Marcus beamed. Finally, someone who understands me. Elora ignored both of them and inspected the shuttle. Just get us back in the air. Quietly. Kik saluted with a cheerful beep. Quietly is relative. While the repairs began, Marcus wandered toward the observation deck. Beyond the transparent dome, the asteroid belt glimmered like frozen lightning. He watched the rocks drift past, hands in his pockets. Elora joined him after a moment, her reflection sharp against the starlight. You could have stayed hidden, she said. Instead, you stole military tech. He shrugged. I didn't steal it from me. Someone's trying to weaponize plasma cores with adaptive DNA coding. I took them before they could finish. Her eyes narrowed. Adaptive DNA. You're saying these cores respond to biology? Exactly. Some bright mind realized that Kael'therian physiology, your physiology, could stabilize plasma energy. The air between them grew heavy. Elora looked at him sharply. You mean they're experimenting on my species? Marcus nodded. And probably not with permission. She was silent for a long time. You could have told me. You were a little busy threatening to throw me out an airlock. She almost smiled, almost. Still an option. He laughed quietly. Fair. But I could use your help. You're stronger, faster, smarter. Flattery won't work. Then I'll try honesty. I can't do this alone. For once, his voice wasn't teasing. She looked at him, really looked. His grin was gone, replaced by something quieter, steadier. The space between them shifted. Then Kik buzzed in cheerfully, breaking the tension like a badly timed punchline. Repairs complete. Also, someone's trying to hack your ship. But don't worry, I sold them a fake access code for a reasonable bribe. Elora blinked. You what? I'm morally flexible but results-oriented. Marcus grinned again. I like this droid. Elora pinched the bridge of her nose. Of course you do. They hurried back to the ship, alarms already flashing red. The console flared to life, showing an incoming transmission from a Kael'therian military signature. Elora froze. Marcus glanced at her. Friends of yours? She didn't answer. The comms crackled. Commander Vathen, by order of the Kael'thar High Command, you are to detain the human and return the stolen cores immediately. Marcus's mouth twisted. Guess they're not fans of snacks either. Elora stared at the screen, at the insignia she once swore allegiance to. They won't listen. They'll destroy us both. Marcus reached for the controls. Then we better leave before they remember they have missiles. The ship roared to life once more, breaking free from the outpost. Behind them, Kael'therian warships emerged from the asteroid shadows, their engines burning blue. Elora gripped the seat as they jumped into hyperspace. Marcus exhaled. So that went well. She turned to him, deadpan. You define well very differently than I do. He flashed her a grin. That's why we make a great team. And as the stars stretched into luminous streaks, Elora tried not to think about how much she was starting to believe him. Hyperspace shimmered outside the cockpit, endless and liquid, like the universe was holding its breath. Elora sat with her arms crossed, her long ears twitching every time Marcus hummed off-key. The hum wasn't music, it was chaos disguised as optimism. "Are you doing that on purpose?" she asked. "Doing what?" "That noise. It sounds like a dying reactor." "It's called whistling," he said, tapping on the console. "Very common human coping mechanism. Helps with stress. Also annoys commanding officers, apparently. I'm reconsidering my stance on airlocks." He grinned, unbothered. "You'd miss me." "Unlikely." The ship jolted suddenly. A warning flashed. Hyperspace stability compromised. Marcus cursed and started punching buttons with the confidence of a man who didn't actually know what any of them did. The stars outside warped, twisting like liquid light, and the next thing Elora knew, the ship lurched out of hyperspace, straight into a debris field. Metal fragments and shattered satellites drifted past. One piece still had a flickering logo on it, property of Galactic Transit Authority. "Marcus," Elora said slowly, "why are we surrounded by what appears to be the exploded remains of a public transport line?" He squinted through the viewport. "It's fine. We'll just go around." She turned toward him. "You do realize space is three-dimensional?" He shrugged. "Then we'll go around her." Before she could respond, the sensors beeped. A large mass was approaching, slow, steady, and broadcasting a distress signal. Marcus leaned closer to the readout. "It's a cargo hauler. Mostly intact. No life signs." Elora frowned. "Or no life left. Or free supplies," he said cheerfully. "Human logic never ceases to terrify me." He steered the shuttle closer, engines whining. The hauler loomed ahead, dark and silent except for the faint blue glow of emergency lights. They docked with a dull clang, and the airlock hissed open to reveal an empty corridor lined with flickering panels. Marcus stepped in first, flashlight in hand. "Hello? Anybody dead and willing to share snacks?" Elora followed, her hand on her sidearm. "Your survival instincts are astonishing." "Thank you. I work hard at being mediocre." They moved through the corridors, boots echoing. The ship's logs flickered on a cracked screen. Transport vessel Argus 9, outbound from the research colonies, cargo classified. Elora accessed the files. Her stomach sank when she saw the encryption code. This was a Kael'tharian military shipment. Marcus's brows rose. "Your people really get around." "It's not a compliment." She scrolled further. They were transporting bioengineered plasma regulators. Same kind we found in the cores you stole. He winced. "Borrowed." She looked at him sharply. "Borrowed from a military vault." Borrowed enthusiastically. Before the argument could continue, a faint sound echoed through the hall, a metallic scraping, like claws on steel. Marcus froze. "Please tell me that's your stomach." Elora drew her weapon. "Stay behind me." Always my favorite line. They rounded a corner. A maintenance drone hung suspended from the ceiling, lights blinking erratically. Then it turned its sensor toward them, its voice crackling. "Unauthorized personnel detected. Engaging containment protocol." Dozens of smaller drones powered on, their plasma cutters glowing. Marcus muttered, "Why is it never cupcakes?" Elora fired first, her blaster slicing through the swarm. Sparks filled the corridor. Marcus dove behind a crate, grabbing a metal rod and swinging wildly when a drone got too close. "I'm helping." "You're waving." "I'm multitasking." A plasma burst grazed his shoulder. He yelped, stumbled, and accidentally smashed the rod into a drone sensor. It exploded with surprising enthusiasm. He grinned through the smoke. "See? Helping." "Accidental heroism doesn't count," she shouted, taking down the last of them. The hallway fell silent, save for the distant hum of the ship's failing power core. Marcus leaned against a wall, panting. "Okay, so maybe this isn't the best place for a date." Elora gave him a flat look. "You consider being hunted by homicidal drones romantic?" "Depends on the lighting." They reached the central hold. Containers were stacked high, marked with Kael'tharian symbols and sealed with DNA locks. Elora approached one. The moment she touched it, the panel blinked green. The container opened, revealing a glowing cylinder filled with liquid plasma, and at its center, something organic pulsing faintly. Marcus's eyes widened. That's not supposed to move, right? Ellera's voice was quiet. It's alive. The cylinder's sensors flickered, scanning her face. Then a mechanical voice spoke, calm but eerie. Caltharian genetic match detected. Unit activation authorized. The pulse inside the cylinder intensified. Ellera stepped back. This is part of the project I told you about, the fusion between plasma energy and biological tissue. Marcus stared at it. They made living reactors? Living weapons, she corrected softly. He looked at her, the humor gone for once. And they used your DNA. The glow of the container reflected in her eyes, and for a moment, neither spoke. Then the ship's emergency alarms flared again. The computer's monotone voice announced, "Containment breach detected. Reactor overload imminent." Marcus groaned. "Everywhere we go, things explode." Ellera snapped the container shut. "Grab it. We can't leave it here. You want to take the sentient bomb with us?" "It's not a bomb. It's part of me." He hesitated only a moment before lifting the cylinder. "You owe me so many snacks for this." They ran through the ship as systems failed around them. Fire sparked from broken panels, gravity fluctuating with dizzying shifts. Marcus stumbled, clutching the container. Ellera grabbed his arm and pulled him upright, dragging him toward the airlock. The shuttle's hatch sealed just as the hauler tore apart behind them in a silent, blinding flare. The blast wave rocked their ship, throwing them both to the floor. Marcus groaned. "We're alive. Again. That's becoming suspicious." Ellera sat up, watching the cylinder pulse, faintly in the corner. "You still think this is about stolen tech?" He looked at her, rubbing his neck. "I think we just stole something that wants to breathe." She met his gaze, unblinking. "Then we find out why." The silence between them stretched, filled only by the hum of the reactor and the slow, rhythmic pulse of the living light that now shared their ship. The shuttle lurched as it exited the last stretch of asteroid fields, and Ellera gripped the console with her long fingers. Marcus sat across from her, hunched over the glowing cylinder that pulsed like a heartbeat, muttering, "You know, most people don't carry something that literally could fry the atmosphere in one sneeze." Ellera shot him a look. "Most people aren't trying to stop an entire military conspiracy either." He waved a hand. "Minor detail. I prefer to focus on the fun stuff, like surviving the minor explosions." She didn't answer. Her mind was on the cylinder, on the way it seemed to recognize her presence, on how its pulse slowed when she placed a hand near it, and sped when Marcus got too close. That little reaction made her pulse quicken in ways she wasn't ready to admit. "Okay," Marcus said finally, leaning back with a grin. "We need a plan. And by plan, I mean something slightly more than run until things explode." Ellera pinched the bridge of her nose. "We infiltrate the research citadel where the cores are being weaponized, extract the rest of the living reactors, and destroy the project before they can weaponize it against anyone else." Marcus whistled. "Step 1, infiltrate. Step 2, get shot at. Step 3, dramatic explosions. Step 4, dinner." Her ears twitched. "Stop making light of it. This is serious." He leaned closer, voice low. "Everything's serious until it's hilarious. Trust me, humor is my survival mechanism." She didn't trust him. Not entirely. But she did know he had a knack for surviving impossible odds. And right now, survival mattered more than pride. They approached the citadel in silence, the cylinder secured in a containment harness that Marcus insisted on calling Mr. Pulsey. Ellera rolled her eyes. "Mr. Pulsey," he whispered, "we're going to be heroes." Ellera muttered something that sounded suspiciously like a curse in Caltharian. The citadel's exterior shimmered with anti-detection shields, and Marcus tapped at the console with exaggerated confidence. "Step 1, find the weak spot. Step 2, sneak in without anyone noticing. Step 3, optional dramatic heroics." Ellera raised an eyebrow. "Your optional heroics are mandatory disasters in my experience." "I call them unpredictable contributions." The shuttle glided past the outer defenses, avoiding the automated turrets with a combination of luck and Marcus's unorthodox maneuvers. Ellora's knuckles whitened on the console, but she couldn't help the tiny smirk that escaped her lips when Marcus did a little spin to avoid a laser. Inside the Citadel, the corridors were a maze of steel and plasma conduits. Security drones patrolled in predictable patterns, and Ellora moved silently, her Kaletharian reflexes keeping her in shadows. Marcus followed, holding the cylinder like it might sprout legs and run. "You know," he said quietly, "we could have just sent a polite invitation." "We tried polite," Ellora said. "It involved you almost getting arrested, a stolen shuttle, and 3 exploding drones." He grinned. "Exactly. Efficient." They reached a large chamber, the heart of the research facility. Holographic displays flickered, showing data streams of DNA sequences intertwined with plasma signatures. Scientists in white coats moved with nervous precision, unaware of the intruders in their midst. Ellora approached a console. "This is it. This is where they're synthesizing the cores with Kaletharian DNA." Marcus peeked over her shoulder. "They're using you as a template?" "Not just me. My people. They've been experimenting for months." He rubbed his neck. "So what's the plan? We smash computers, run, and hope for the best." Ellora's lips curved in a rare smile. "Basically. But first, we free the reactors." With her knowledge of Kaletharian genetics, she bypassed the security protocols, and one by one, the cylinders opened. Each reactor pulsed, alive and aware. One nudged Marcus's hand, and he yelped. "They're affectionate," he whispered. "They respond to stimuli," Ellora said, "including kindness. And you, apparently." "Me?" he asked, incredulous. She didn't answer, too focused on the others. Once the reactors were secured, alarms blared. Security systems activated, laser grids sliding into place. Ellora drew her weapon. "Time for my optional heroics," Marcus said, grinning. He grabbed a plasma wrench from the nearest workbench and started smashing control panels. Sparks flew, circuits fried, and the alarms doubled in intensity. Ellora shook her head, but couldn't suppress a laugh. "You're impossible." "I'm efficient," he corrected. They fought their way through the corridors, Marcus improvising with every step. Ellora's blaster and agility made her a whirlwind of precision, taking down automated turrets and drones. Together, they reached the outer docking bay. The shuttle awaited, engines humming. "Everyone aboard," Ellora ordered. The reactors pulsed in recognition of her voice, calming slightly as Marcus loaded them into containment. As they launched from the Citadel, Marcus looked back at the facility. "So destroy it?" Ellora nodded, activating the ship's energy surge. The Citadel erupted behind them in a blaze of plasma and metal, the shockwave shaking the shuttle, but leaving them intact. They drifted in the aftermath, the reactors pulsing gently, synchronized with Ellora's heartbeat. Marcus leaned back, exhaustion etched on his face. "You know," he said, "we make a great team. Despite your glaring, your yelling, and your very intimidating ears." Ellora's lips twitched. "You realize you owe me for all the times I didn't shoot you." He grinned. "I'm counting it as part of our bonding experience." The shuttle jumped into hyperspace, stars stretching into light trails. Ellora allowed herself to relax, just a little. The reactors were safe, the conspiracy exposed, and somewhere deep in her chest, a strange warmth began to bloom, a mixture of exasperation, admiration, and something she refused to name. Marcus peeked at her, feeling soft. "Don't test me," she said. "Noted. But if you do, I promise snacks." Ellora pinched the bridge of her nose. "You really are impossible. And you secretly love it," he added with a wink. She didn't answer, but the faintest smile tugged at her lips as the shuttle vanished into the endless void of stars. The shuttle shuddered violently, dragging Ellora and Marcus against their harnesses as the orbiting research citadel loomed ahead. The last remaining faction of the conspiracy had fortified the station with shields and automated defenses, clearly unwilling to let the secrets of their experiments slip into the galaxy. Marcus tapped the controls with exaggerated flair. "Think of this as a space-themed obstacle course," he said. "Only the prizes explode if you fail." Ellora groaned. "You are insufferable." He grinned. "And yet, somehow, You keep me around." She didn't answer. Instead, she checked the reactors strapped safely in containment. Their gentle pulses seemed synchronized with her own heartbeat, reminding her of what they were fighting for. The weight of responsibility sat heavily on her shoulders, but for the first time since leaving K9, she felt capable, strong in a way that went beyond muscle or reflexes. The station's shields flared red as they approached. Ellora's ears twitched. "We'll need a distraction. We can't fight them all head-on." Marcus's eyes lit up. "Distraction? You mean chaos? My favorite part." Ellora grabbed a small module from the console. "This will fry the sensor grid temporarily. You'll do the running. I'll do the shooting. Don't get yourself killed before the fun part." "Fun part meaning? You surviving to the end, hopefully." He laughed. "A classic." The module activated. Red warning lights flashed across the Citadel's hull as alarms blared. Automated turrets swiveled and fired, missing narrowly as Marcus hurled the shuttle into evasive maneuvers. Ellora fired carefully from the co-pilot console, each shot disabling shields, doors, and drone circuits. Sparks danced in the corridors below as Marcus navigated the vessel like a man who had been born to ignore physics. They reached the docking bay, where the final core was held. Ellora jumped out with Marcus right behind her, their movements synchronized as if they had rehearsed it 1,000 times. Scientists and security personnel froze at the sight of her, the Kael'tharian warrior, deadly and deliberate, long ears swaying as she moved, and Marcus, waving his plasma wrench like a particularly reckless conductor. "Step aside or become collateral," Ellora warned, voice calm but firm. The head scientist, pale and trembling, raised his hands. "Commander Vathan, we know exactly what you were doing," Ellora interrupted, "and it ends today." Marcus poked one of the crates. "Also, we brought snacks." Ellora pinched the bridge of her nose. "Please don't." With precise movements, Ellora deactivated the security locks on the remaining cores. Each reactor pulsed in recognition of her, calming as she whispered instructions to Marcus. Together, they lifted the cores into containment modules, moving with a speed and efficiency born from necessity. The station shuddered as backup forces arrived. Turrets powered up, doors slammed shut, and drones swarmed. Marcus whistled. "I told you this would be fun." Ellora rolled her eyes, but didn't slow. "We get the cores, we leave. That's the plan. Stick to it." They fought through the corridors, side by side. Ellora's precise shots disabled the drones. Marcus improvised with wrench swings and overturned consoles, and the reactors pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat guiding them forward. For the first time, Ellora realized she could rely on someone without feeling exposed. Not completely, but enough to trust the chaos with him. They reached the shuttle. Marcus was the first to board, grinning like a man who had won the universe. "Ladies first," he said, gesturing toward Ellora. She stepped in, finally allowing herself a small laugh. "And you get to follow without breaking anything else, hopefully." As they launched from the Citadel, Ellora activated the sequence to overload the station. The Citadel erupted in a spectacular blaze of plasma and metal, streaks of light illuminating the void. Marcus hooped in celebration. "See? Fun." Ellora, despite herself, smiled. "You are impossible." Marcus leaned back in the pilot's seat. "And yet, here we are alive." Again, Ellora's attention shifted to the containment modules. The reactors pulsed, safe and alive. She felt an unfamiliar warmth in her chest, not just relief, but pride, and a quiet satisfaction that she could protect her people without losing herself to vengeance or fear. Marcus peeked at her. "You okay?" She met his gaze, long ears flicking in a subtle motion he was beginning to understand. "Better than I have been in a long time." He smirked. "I take partial credit for that." "You take enough credit already," she said, though her lips twitched with the hint of a smile. They slipped into hyperspace, the stars stretching into light trails. Ellora allowed herself to relax fully for the first time in weeks, the tension she had carried since that night on K9 melting away. Marcus hummed a ridiculous tune, the same one that had annoyed her before, and she found herself laughing aloud. "Still can't hit a note," she said. I'm trying for dramatic effect. She shook her head, but the laughter stayed. For all the chaos, the near-death experiences, and the reckless antics of a human man who somehow always survived, she had changed. She had grown. She had discovered that strength wasn't just muscle or reflex. It was trust, humor, and the courage to let someone in. Marcus leaned closer. So, future adventures? Elora glanced at him, long ears brushing the cockpit frame. Future adventures, but on my terms. He nodded. Fair enough. I'll even bring snacks. She didn't respond, only allowed a faint, genuine smile. The shuttle drifted onward, the galaxy stretching before them, full of possibility. Elora had been broken once, by circumstance, by biology, by one infuriating human, but she had rebuilt herself stronger, smarter, and more alive than ever. And for the first time, she didn't feel weak. She felt unstoppable. The reactor pulses throbbed in quiet harmony with her own, and Marcus's off-key humming filled the cockpit. Elora shook her head, laughter spilling freely. You are truly impossible, she said. And yet, he replied, eyes twinkling. The perfect partner. She laughed again, and for the first time in weeks, the galaxy didn't feel like a place of danger. It felt like a place of home, of survival, and of something dangerously close to love. The end.